Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to chat number 2 about a subject that's really on my mind, and that is my pen fast, which really technically I guess starts July 1st, but I've already started. And what is a pen fast? Well, you'll have to probably refer to the other video if you want real in-depth, but a pen fast is basically where I'm not buying pens or inks or notebooks or anything hobby related for a certain period of time. And I'm using the word fast because I'm an intermittent faster, which means that I also have an eating window and a fasting window where I don't eat. And so I think I can transfer those skills over and become a little less impulsive in my pen buying and a little more intentional, maybe a lot more. And I think it's really needed for myself. And what happened was when I did my other video to talk about it, the response was really wonderful. It was like really heartwarming to read all the comments. In fact, I made a printout where I copied and pasted several comments. There were too many for me to read all of them, but I really wanted to read a few of them. And in fact, each pen chat that we have on this subject, I think I'll do that because it's a gold mine, the things that you all say and the time that it takes. And I know it's an effort to make a comment on a video. So I've always appreciated comments here, but I really did on this subject because I was really it was vulnerable. I was a little worried that I might get thrown under the bus, or I might even throw myself under the bus. And I want this to be very positive. Same thing with my eating. When I am fasting, it's very positive for me. Like, I don't have to make choices. I can go on with the rest of life. I'm not obsessed about food. So I'm hoping that that will truly transfer over to having, windows where I purchase. Yes, because this is a hobby I love. And it's not actually realistic unless other needs are more pertinent that I would stop completely buying pens, inks, accessories. It's not going to happen unless it has to, which we'll talk about that because there's some very real other things going on in everyone's lives, not just mine. So I am super happy that it appears that I'm not going to have to do this alone. Everybody's situation and the way they approach, their pen hobby buying will be different. But I got the real clear sense that I wouldn't even be alone right now in this, that there'd be people that were, doing something similar along with me. And that made me feel great, and it made me want to continue. Now, I don't know how often these videos will be. I wanted to say weekly, and maybe they will, but what I think is, this is what I believe, I think whenever an obstacle comes up, which believe me, they come up, there's already been some, which we'll talk about, I think that'll trigger a video for sure, but other than that, I just want it to be a regular feature while I'm going through this, and I think it will be a contribution because it'll be beyond myself. Other people are also having these necessary pen buying fasts. I think I'm gonna have to open the door because I hear Coco, and he doesn't need to be on the outside of the door. Yeah, curiosity got to him, and I don't know why I closed the door. The TV's not loud or anything, so he can see what I'm doing now, and I think he'll be fine. Coco's my cat, for anybody new here. So I think that's where we'll start this week. We'll start with me reading some of the comments that really stood out, and there's so many other great ones too, so please, if I didn't read your comment, don't feel bad. In fact, I would just encourage anyone who's interested to go over and read the comments and engage in them because it was really, really great. Anyway, I'll give you a little sample. So the first one was from Adam over at An Ink Guy, and he also has a YouTube channel. So this really, really caught my attention. He actually reviews inks and other things. So he says, to keep control over my spending on inks, pens, and paper, I make a list all year and only make my purchases during December, which is coincidentally when everyone has their sales. That's really, really cool. The only exception is if I know there's a pen show I want to go to, But even then in December, I put the cash aside for that event. This lets me see all the money spent for the year on the hobby. That's a brave, that's a brave soul to want to see it, actually. I remember one year when I added up all my Goulet purchases, and that slowed me down. That made me like, whoa, and this was early on. I'm estimating that might have been like 2018 or something when I did that. So the next one was from Ann Ingrid, and she says, my pen fast method is to stop watching so many fountain pen YouTubers. I'm down to 3. My impulse buying is getting better. I've only purchased 1 fountain pen in the last 4 months, and I stopped buying cheap pens. But when my favorite pen shop had 25% off, I couldn't resist. So yeah, that's interesting. That actually, I spent quite a long time thinking about if I had to be limited to only 3 pen YouTubers, I'd be in trouble. But I actually think that there are a few where just when I'm feeling weak about impulses and wanting to buy a pen, or I need to avoid just for the time being, but I would go back intentionally. I like it when I look for a video about a pen I'm interested in. When I'm just plain watching, then the words of my dad come to mind. We used to go to the Dollar Tree in Derby, and he'd say, well, we'd be coming out, and he'd say, well, we got stuff I didn't even know we needed, and yeah, that's kind of what happens. So anyway, so I wrote down here also 3 people mentioned other priorities, such as needing to replace a vehicle, needing home repairs, etc. And that, I've been there. Because this has been like almost 8 years that I've been back into fountain pens and been really into the hobby kind of deeply because of having a YouTube channel too. So, the roofing project and the different times when I was saving for a trip to Vermont and all of that came to mind. So then the next one was from ECD Roy. One trick that has helped me, might not for others, is to limit myself to 1 color of a pen model. It's been working well the past 2 years. If anything, it makes me explore other pen makers and models. That was really fascinating to me. That's like studying another species because, you know me with the TWSBI Ecos, so I have a reputation that kind of precedes me on what I do when I like a pen. But that's coming more to mind now, more often, not just with TWSBIs, but also with Lamies, and with Opus 88s, which I feel like I'm got what I want in that brand, So I've been, questioning myself and thinking about habits a lot. So that comment jumped right out at me. Okay, then the next one is from Little Badger, who says, my pen fasting is very simple. I relegate all fountain pen hobby purchases to my birthday, relationship anniversary, and Christmas. Those days for me are well spaced out throughout the year. Also, the items seem more special because they become attached to special days. Like this pen is from our 8th anniversary. That's excellent. I wish my birthday and Christmas were a little more separated. I guess I could just choose another something. Not Christmas. That's not going to change. But and now that I'm 60, maybe I could just sort of make up her birthday somewhere. I don't know. Or maybe change the numbers. Okay, so then the next one is from Andrew Camacho 4092, who says, revisiting infrequently used pens is another useful strategy. I just inked up a pen I haven't used since 2021. It's a good writer, and it feels like I got a new pen. Yeah, this is excellent. And, I've seen people do this. I think I've seen... I can't pronounce his name right. I want to say Vincent when it's more complicated than that. At Fountain Pen Therapy does like a Fountain Pen Resurrection, I think, where he draws out pens from his vast collection that he hasn't written with in a while. And parts of his reviews I may have to skim over because I'm a sucker for a cheaper Chinese pens that are really good writers and so forth. So I have to be really careful when I watch his content. But anyway. Okay, so then I jotted down, I think this was after I'd made the printout. I just printed it out on my computer. So I didn't want to go back in and figure out who said it, But I wrote down fund budget, allowance for all hobbies, and interests monthly. So that's a lot like what I used to do with pen allowance, where, and I did kind of find that I liked having a pen allowance, but then every once in a while I needed to buy socks or something else, and money gets funny with me, it really does. So it's not that I did away with the pen allowance. The pen allowance became, I think, my ad revenue. And, occasionally from money that I got from our budget, like we give each other a small allowance, which is mostly now going for household things and or something for the cats or even extra food. So we were just talking about that, how after we finish this one bill that we're rapidly paying off with no interest, we might have to raise our household budget to meet the food and personal allowance demand that is there now that wasn't, everything costs, that's all, more than it did, so, including pens. Okay, so that's the comment section part of the video. I think there's a lot there, and there's actually a lot in all of the comment sections in most of my videos, so I consider it like a pen club in itself, and I really, really appreciate everybody who makes comments. Okay, so on to the obstacle that I have been thinking about and working with this week. And it's kind of odd, but I had like $7 and some cents in my pen account. So who's going to have a problem with that little bit? You're not going to be buying anything, right? So I didn't have a problem, but then I had an excellent, I had a price of prosperity problem come up, I guess you'd call it. That's what my mom would call it. She sent me this super cool little, she liked to cut out comments in the past, comics in the past for me. And it was this lady, it was a sketch of a lady going through all her shampoos and conditioners and stuff underneath her bathroom sink. And the commentary was just the price of prosperity. And it was so funny and relatable, actually. So, so May was my best month ever for ad revenue since becoming monetized in, I think 2018 was when I got monetized. If not, it was early 2019. So it was at least a year after I started my channel that I got monetized. So, 1 month, there have been a few times in the past where I went over $100 and that triggered a check with just 1 month, but most of the time it takes 2 months. So anyway, so now there's money in the pen account. Now that would normally be a trigger to spend. So I've been having to draw on those intermittent fasting skills, or whatever you want to call it, to keep telling myself I'm not cutting off forever my, ability or my allowing myself to purchase a pen or an ink or whatever. I'm delaying. I'm waiting for a better window, a window when I've saved more so that my options might expand, and also when there's sales. I like that idea. I remember, just enough to remember, that, December's a great month. Starting really in late November, I'm thinking Black Friday, they call it Black Friday, and now it starts sooner, but it's a thing on the internet now too, not just, people in the big box stores. So anyway, that's the first thing that I jotted down, was I have to be aware that with money there, that could weaken my resolve in this pen fast. So, and I know how that sounds. It's what a problem to have, right? But it was easy when there was none. And, I thought about it. I thought, well, that little separate account, I could get that money in cash, put that in my envelope system. I am less likely to spend cash. I just am less likely. So, and there's no pen show around me or anything. But then it would just be inconvenient when the day comes. And surely I have enough impulse control to leave that money there, and what a luxury if I get to, because right now my weed eater's acting up, and there's demands. There's little things that I'm noticing that, and I'm nursing an old lawnmower along too, and so Coco's screaming. I hope you can't hear it in the background. Okay, but let's move on from the obstacle. I'm going to leave that there because knowing this audience and pen friends that I have being so wonderful, somebody may have something to say about that. Like, there may be some solution or a mantra or whatever, affirmation that I can use that'll help, that we can use. So the next thing I jotted down here, I had to do an outline. So, I'm not working on a script. It's an outline because there are things I didn't want to forget and we'll get to the idea of contribution, but it's important to me that I somehow get across the thoughts I've been having because I think they're universal to those of us in the pen hobby who are trying to be either on a budget or trying to do this. I've been noticing that pen friends also have obstacles with this, and I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to do that. They can do that in the comment section if they want to, but, so you're going along and for whatever reason, you don't have pen money and a beautiful pen appears, one that is not to be missed. And this is an obstacle. It's a pretty pen. You want it and the pen account is empty. So I see this as a common recurring kind of a theme that's going to happen probably to all of us, and my old boss in the Air Force used to say, don't worry about it. Everybody has the same problems. They're just on a different, they're on a sliding scale. And I never forgot him saying that. His name was Captain Vasillo, and he was my favorite boss of any boss I've ever had. And he had a lot of wisdom, and, he appreciated me for being, he said, what did he say? He said a jack of all trades. He never said master of none, but I kept thinking, well, yeah, I'm kind of good at everything, and I wish I was just great, the best in something, but anyway, he was a great person, and probably still is. I haven't heard from him in many years, but that idea that we all face kind of the same issues, and what I may be trying to save might be a small amount compared to someone else that's after a pen that's in a different price range. So, and then another common theme that I notice is people selling pens to finance another one. And this is common in other hobbies too. And people in my family, even I know, have done that. Like, well, I'm willing to sell this, this, and this, or trade these three for that one. And that's wonderful. I wish I had a tolerance for the whole mail order sales type thing. I have some trepidation. I have fears around someone maybe not being happy with the pen, and then me being such a small little fish that, if I had to make it right, then I might have to, like, I don't know what might happen if it didn't go well. So, but that's probably just anxiety, general fear that I should do away with. But anyway, so it's not the first time I've seen that, and it's like I want everybody to have all the pens they want, and the pens that they're after. So I jotted off to the side after, right as I was on my way over here, I jotted down emergency pen fund, because in the spirit of trying to transfer skills from other areas, we don't wait for the water heater to break. We have an emergency fund because who knows what's going to be next, right? It could be the washer or something, but maybe within the hobby, a little bit of a minimum amount in savings so that when a pen comes along in our price range that we really want. This all sounds fine and dandy when money's flowing, well, and other obstacles aren't popping up all over the place. And I understand that you might not even want to be in this room having this discussion, if things are different, if there wasn't a little bit of leeway in spending and hobby and everything. So then the next thing was kind of an exciting thing too for me. I started doing a little bit of research about what makes people buy things and why. Why do I want to buy another pen when I have over 200 pens? Shh. But anyway, it's not a secret around here. So I ran into a Tony Robbins quote. And the quote was, and I'll paraphrase because I'm not really sure I jotted it down right. People don't buy things, they buy feelings. They buy identity. And then in further researching that, not only did I find an article he wrote, but I found one by Laraz Margalit, PhD, and it was a Psychology Today article. And she said, or I think it's a she, people don't buy products or services, they buy emotions. So that really got my wheels turning. Like, I thought, okay, so there's this pen, and luckily for me, it's a pen in the line that it's one of their standard ones, and I really want it. I want it for Christmas if I can't get it any other way, or you know what I mean? Like, I want to try to be like, okay, however much, because we allow each other to pick our own Christmas present, so it's only a matter of when we do our budget, how much how much money do we each get for it, and then I could make up the rest, But anyway, I don't want to name pen names right now. I'm trying not to, because I'm trying not to trigger anyone to go look it up after. I know myself. So I started thinking about that, like, just what exactly is it about this? It's a beautiful pen and it's a smooth writer, but I have that exact number 6 steel Yowo or Schmidt nib experience going on in many, many pens in my collection already. And, I know I try to sometimes, tone myself down and cool my heels and everything by thinking of pens as nib holders. I've never fully been able to do that because I love color and I love beauty and sparkle and all of that. So, I don't know, maybe if I liked black pens, it'd be easier because maybe there wouldn't be such variety to go after. I don't know. Maybe not, though. There's a lot of black pens and a lot of different features. Excuse me. So then, as part of Tony Robbins' information, and I don't know whether he, wrote this in his book or whether this is a universal type thing that needs to be attributed to someone else. But he talked about 6 human needs. And I will link the article where I got it, because that's all I can do. I don't know where it comes from originally. So they are certainty or comfort, uncertainty or variety, significance, and he claimed in this article that I was reading that significance sells. Like, if we feel significant by whatever it is, whether it's a car, a certain model, or a pair of Levi's jeans, in high school, this is really something. It was the Levi's that said 0 on the label, size 0. I mean, really, I don't even understand that, or now I may be wrong. I may be remembering 30. Like, I always wanted to be that size because those skinny girls were the 30, and I never got into anything smaller than 32. Yeah, memory's a funny thing, but anyway. So, but there was that Levi's with the red tab, and yeah, everybody had to have that. And you were significant if you had those, and you might get picked on if you didn't. But anyway, we're not in high school. Thank God. I stopped, didn't I? So then the next one, or number 4, was connection. And I see a lot of that in the fountain pen hobby. I mean, we want to be connected, and we are connected, so we therefore find out about these beautiful things through each other. So that's interesting. And then another human need is growth. And then the other one, which I promised to talk more about, and we will, is contribution. So, I mean, being here on YouTube, a big part of that for me has been contribution. I wanted to contribute something. I used to volunteer a lot. I used to work, in many different types of jobs. And then Manuel and I kind of retired together, when he retired in 2007, although I went on and I worked longer because I still was doing caregiving up through 2010. So, and outside of the home for a girl I drove for that had Down syndrome. And so, there was a need to pay property taxes. We were trying to adjust to Social Security versus, whatever. And, but yeah, I then found myself perfectly happy being at home because I like to do all my creative things, and I find plenty to do. I may not want to do it, sometimes the cleaning, the cooking, the everything here, the yard work, the etc. But I felt like that was missing, and I had never seen this at the time when I realized I need to be contributing something somewhere. I need to be doing something. And now with the pen pal writing and with doing videos, even with the reviews, I felt that good. So anyway, it's a good thing I did do this outline because I can really end up going way off the rails. And I don't mind doing that at the end of the video, but I wanted to get certain things across. Okay, so I wrote down I am looking to transfer skills from intermittent fasting, especially these two things. Okay, so the delay, don't deny. The idea that this is not a complete shutdown of buying pens or inks. Although I nauseated myself with ink. I just completely, and I had a lot of help, but I got to the point where I didn't want to see another sample or whatever. And that's healed up a little over the last couple of years. But, and then the other one is, I just jotted down and made a big asterisk. Food fasting frees me from the chaos, and it does. It all during that fasting period, there's nothing to worry about. There's not decisions to make as far as what to eat. Now I may have it running as a little bit of a program, like, well, what might be for tomorrow, but it is not overwhelming because it's to be thought of the next morning. Maybe while I'm having my decaffeinated black coffee, I can think about, I kind of have just certain go-to meals anyway, but I would like my pen buying experience or hobby experience to be similar, where I'm enjoying life and writing and other things too, maybe putting a little more balance into life, because when you're living a retired lifestyle, it can easily get to be over-focused on one or two things, I think, or at least that's what I find. And so I'm kind of like looking forward to that. I'm dumping all my thoughts about what I think I want on a wish list in a notebook, but I'm trying not to dwell on it. And I really don't want to, because that would be like me dwelling on food or dwelling on the next time we're going to have not a cheat meal, but like a Thanksgiving type, a really nice big meal or whatever. It would be counterproductive, I think. So then I wrote down, I'm asking myself, what am I really hungry for? And what am I really buying? Because according to these people, the psychologist and then Tony Robbins, we're buying feelings, we're buying identity, we're buying emotions. That's interesting. I haven't cracked that yet. I don't know really. I think if I'm buying an emotion at all, it's joy and excitement, I guess, or, a little high, maybe a little dopamine, because, the pen comes, it's new, maybe it's sparkly, maybe it's, just another wonderful favorite or favored color or something like that. So, but like this person said, Andrew said, getting out infrequently used pens, because, I have them zipped into those cases. And I think it's interesting. I've seen a lot of people that have the drawers where you can kind of see in. I kind of like that, but I'm not wanting to spend any money to transfer my whole system. And I kind of like the zip cases, because in case of a hurricane or flood or, I don't know. I guess I always have thought I could grab a couple of those cases and put them in my backpack. Maybe, if it was lucky that I could do that. Okay, so at the bottom of the page, because then I guess I can go back and just ramble if I want to. The last thing I wrote down was nib holder philosophy, as taught to me by my pen friend Michelle Rain. Beautiful pen bodies, and hammers and tools. Okay, so that was just supposed to remind me to talk about it. Like, I try to think about what people outside of the hobby might think of my habits, of having so many pens. And I think that, well, what if somebody had like, and I'm picking on hammers, but it could be all kinds of different tools. I'm just more familiar, I guess, with hammers and maybe screwdrivers, things like that. If somebody had 200 hammers, I think they were nuts, And so it's a tool, and you probably need several different, I mean, there are many types of hammers like that do different things and different weight of hammers, and the rounded end ones, the rubber mallet, the heavier one, the one with the claw, all that kind of thing. But after you get to a certain point, you're going to be able to get any job done with I don't know how many, but maybe 5 or 10. No such number as 200. So when it comes to writing, I can certainly get the job done. In fact, I'm using the same type of nib on many of the pens that I have. But again, this is not negative. It's not. It's just really trying to get more mindful and open up my mind, because okay, so this is the rambling part, because I've covered what was on my my outline, and I feel good about that. Oh no, I hate it when the train just leaves the station without me. Hold on, I gotta get that thought back. Oh man, there is just no hope of retrieving whatever thought that was, and it was so cool. But I was hearing Coco. I'm going to blame Coco, my cat. He was kind of screaming in the background. He wants something, but he's not over by his food or anything. And whatever it was that I was about to launch into is like in a vault in my brain somewhere. So hopefully it'll come out for the next episode. But that's sucks. I hate that when that happens, because I always think, oh, this is going to be a good tie-in or whatever, and then it just escaped on me. So anyway, I hope there was something useful in this for you if you're doing what I'm doing, and trying to moderate or change or just kind of slow down the pen purchasing and all of that. I hope there was something here that you found useful, and I really look forward to your comments. Now you know that, because I've read a bunch of them. I thought the numbers weren't moving, like it wasn't recording, but it is. So yeah, I guess I could go back up over. I really felt like the 6 human needs and how they might relate to the hobby or anything else like it were really interesting. I mean, I think when I look at growth, in that aspect, I think about how you do one thing is how you do everything, kind of thing. So I know that if I make an improvement in how I operate financially within the pen hobby, then it's going to result in growth and betterment in other areas too, because everything's all interrelated, mind, body, spirit, and so I think that even that area is connected to the pen hobby. And then I guess, where he talks about uncertainty or variety. Well, I don't know. Yeah, so we get bored if we don't have a variety or something new, maybe, and that may tie into it. And then certainty or comfort. I kind of fell into that certainty thing with Twisbees, because I knew every time they were going to write. And with some other pens, I did not always have that certainty in my mind or that confidence that the pen was just going to write when I picked it up. Some of them dried out in the early days, when I'm thinking that like Genhao X450s, they tended to dry out on me. And so I didn't have that certainty. But I do think I've kind of have expired the the brain juice. I haven't broken my fast yet. So there's that. And but this was all timed perfectly for that. And but that could be why that thought escaped and then got locked in the vault, forever, I guess, or for now. But I will see you in the comment section and also in the next video. But I plan to continue to take notes in my journal on how this process is going, of me going 3+ months without buying hobby related stuff, and come on again and do another one. So this will be Pen Fast Chat 2. So I'll do a playlist because I think that'll make it easier if you end up wanting to see from the beginning, even though that first one didn't have a number sign, number 1, it was what kicked it off. So I'll put that on the top of the playlist and then we'll continue from there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all of your support over all this last 7+ years, and or almost 7 years on YouTube. Yeah, I got to remember that we're coming up to the 7 years on YouTube. 8 years back in the hobbies, or back in fountain pens. I need to go eat. I'll see you later. Bye for now.